we will start engineering mathematics with linear algebra. Linear algebra we have divided in multiple topics: matrices and vectors, linear system of equations, linear independence and rank of a matrix, solution of linear system, determinant and inverse, eigenvalues and eigenvectors, range space, null space, symmetric, schizometric, orthogonal and different type of matrices. There has been either one or two questions every year from linear algebra chapter in GATE exam. In this particular video, we will be covering about matrices and vectors and linear system of equations. Matrices and vectors. I believe that most of you know what a matrix is and what a vector is. Still, to refresh your memories, we are starting with the basics with the definition. So if we define matrix, it's a rectangular array of numbers enclosed in a bracket. Means we have some numbers, some random numbers or some systematic numbers, and we represent them in a rectangular array and enclose them in a bracket. Some examples, it looks like these three examples, where the first one are having four numbers, 1, 2, minus 4, minus 1. Second one is having some three numbers. Third one is having another three numbers. All these numbers has been represented in different manners. So if we see the first one, if we count from up to down, so the counting is 1, 2. So this number is called number of rows in the matrix. Same way, if we call left to right, or if we call how many these vertical columns are, they are called the number of columns in a matrix. So first matrix is 2 by 2 matrix, the second one is 1 by 3, and third one is 3 by 1 matrix. Now we know matrix, so what's a vector? Vector is nothing but a specific form of a matrix when it's having a single row or single column. So in this case, as we said, the second one is having one row, so it's a vector. Third one is having one column, so it's a vector. So when it's having one row, it's called a row vector, and when it's having one column, it's called a column vector. After defining the matrices, we should understand when we can say two matrices are equal or different. So we will see how to define equality of matrices. So first and foremost thing, if we want to tell anything about the matrix A and B, where we have represent A as a bracket AJK, where J represents the row index and K represents the column index, and putting A in this manner basically defines a matrix where dimension can be defined separately. Same with B. So the first and foremost condition to say whether two matrices are equal or not, that they should be of same size. Means if they are not of same size, there is no comparison. They are not equal at all. If they are of same size, then we should match corresponding entries are equal. Corresponding entries, we mean like this particular element is the first row, first column element in a matrix. Same way, we will have first row, first column element in second matrix, let's say in B. So we should start matching those elements one by one, and every one of these elements should match. Then only a matrix is called equal to another. Now addition of matrices. As we understand number theories, so once we start understanding the numbers, we go with the simple operations. Addition is one of those operations. So here we want to add two matrices. So sum of two matrices we want to have. Again, as I said, A equals to AJK is a representation of a matrix, B equals to BJK is a representation of another matrix. So sum of two matrices is possible if and only if both are of same size, as we have discussed in equality. Means if A is having 3 row 4 column, B should also have 3 row 4 column, then only we can have A plus B. If they are of different size, then we cannot add. It's like saying A is apple and B is mango. if they are of different size. And then we can say apple cannot be added to mangoes. If we want to have addition, both should either be apple or should either be mangoes. Means both should be of same dimension. The sum is written as C equals to A plus B, where C is another matrix is of same dimension as A and B. The entries of C are calculated using the corresponding entry of A and B and adding them together. And this is a single scalar addition which every one of us do in our day-to-day life. Again, as we mentioned before, matrices of different size cannot be added. Matrices has to be of same size to get added. Scalar multiplication. Now we understood the matrix, we understood the vector, we know the scalar, we understood the addition. Subtraction is nothing but addition with the different sign. Then next thing comes the multiplication. Multiplication are of two types in matrix. One is called scalar multiplication, another one is called matrix multiplication. So currently we are talking about scalar multiplication. Scalar multiplication means when we multiply a matrix A with a scalar C. Matrix A can be of any dimension called m cross n, while C is a scalar, means 1 cross 1. The multiplication is written as CA. The m cross n matrix CA, again, the multiplied matrix is of same size as the A matrix, and the element of multiplied matrix are obtained by multiplying this particular scalar C to every element of A. So we get C, A, J, K. Okay. There are some rules of matrix addition and scalar multiplication, and they are quite similar to scalar addition or multiplication. So we can see A plus B is equals to B plus A plus B plus C is equals to A plus B plus C. It doesn't matter whether we add B to A first or C to B first, the results remain same. If we add a null matrix to A, it remains A. Yeah, here 0 is not a scalar, it's a null matrix. Null matrix means a matrix of 0 having same dimension as A, but all elements are 0. So if we add that matrix to A remains A. If we multiplied A with -1 and add that to A, it becomes 0. If we multiplied a scalar to A plus B, it's like multiplying them separately and adding, and so on. Matrix multiplication. Previously we have seen when we multiplied a scalar to a matrix and we obtained the result as another matrix of the same dimension. Now we want to multiply two matrices. We are having a matrix A and matrix V. We want to multiply both of them. So we say the matrix, multiplied matrix is C, which can be represented as AB, and where A is of m cross n size, B is of P cross R size. And when we multiply these two, the first and foremost condition for multiplication to happen is number of rows in the second matrix should be equal to number of columns in the first matrix. What we said, number of rows in the second matrix should be equal to number of columns in the first matrix. So it's like saying we are having m cross and n cross r, and this particular number should be same, then only matrix multiplication happens. And the resultant matrix dimension is basically m cross r. So it's like omitting these two n which should be common. So the multiplication comes as m cross r matrix. The entries of m cross r matrix are defined as Cjk, and mathematically this is the formula to obtain those entries, where we go L equals to 1 to n, Ajl Blk, where L is running parameter, and we get all the value from C11 to Cmr. It looks complex because we have written it as a mathematical formula. We can make it simple when we see in the next slide. Always remember, order of factors in matrix multiplication must always be observed carefully. What I mean with that, that number of rows of second matrix should be equals to number of column of first matrix, and it should always be remembered. Yeah. So as we said, we are having a matrix A and B, and we want to see how to obtain a matrix C, which is multiplication of AB element by element. So if we see here AB equals to C, if we put A and B matrix in their full form, so it becomes like A, which is M cross N matrix, and B, which is N cross R matrix, and as we know, the resultant is C of M cross R. So this is how the matrix will come. Now we will see how each of these elements is being calculated. So let's start with C11. We want to calculate C11. Then how we do that? What we basically do? We basically take the first element of this and multiply it with this. Then take the second element of first matrix, first row, multiply it with to the second matrix, first column, second element, and add it to the complete addition, and so on. So it's like go in this direction and in this direction, keep on multiplying elements and adding them together. So it becomes like C11 is A11 B11 plus A12 B21 plus A1n Bn1, and we get the C11. Same way, if we want to have C12, then what we have to do is the same row but the second column. So we will do the same operation but using the same row and second column. Same way, if we want to have CMR, we have to take the mth row of first matrix and rth column of the second matrix, and we will get the matrix multiplication. I hope it's clear to every one of you, and I will suggest you to look into your notebooks to see how the matrix multiplication you learned and try out some of the multiplication, as sometimes we get confused what's happening in the multiplication. There are some rules of multiplication which has to be followed for a proper multiplications. So as we have mentioned before, that the order of the matrix has to be observed carefully, because matrix multiplication is not commutative in general. What it means? AB is always not equals to BA. There may be some specific cases where we are using two square matrix and both are coming to the same multiplication, but in general AB is not equals to BA, and anyone can understand that. Let's say we are having A 2 into 3 and B 3 into 4. In that case AB exists and the multiplication will be 2 by 4, but BA doesn't exist. So it makes sure like AB is not in general equals to BA. The other rules are similar to normal multiplication. Means we can have a scalar multiplication to the matrix multiplication in this manner, or in we can have three matrix multiplication. We can change the order. Multiplication order doesn't matter, whether we multiply B and C first and then to A, or AB first then to C. Same way addition and multiplication, etc. But always observe order of matrix in case of multiplication, and always remember AB is not equals to BA in general. After doing the multiplication, there are some properties for the matrix. One of them is transposition. Transposition is like when we change rows to the columns and columns to the rows. So let's say we are having a matrix of M cross N, matrix A, and we want to transpose it. Then it means like we have to convert the first row of A to its first column, and the second row of A it's to the second column of transpose, and the transpose signs become N cross M. So this is example. We are having A where first row is 1 2, second row is -4 -1. When we do the transpose, first row becomes the first column, second row becomes the second column, and transpose of a multiplication needs to be observed carefully. Change the order. If we do AB transpose, it becomes basically B transpose A transpose. We have seen few basic properties of matrices and vectors. these properties are very much needed to build up the concepts for the complex questions. But there are some basic questions which has been asked in GATE which are directly related to these properties and can be answered easily if we understand these properties carefully. One of those questions has been asked in 2014, and you see how simple is the question. So question was like, they have given some properties of matrix and they asked which is true and which is not true. So in the statement way question was, for matrices of same dimension M, N and scalar C, which one of these properties does not always hold good? So we were having the same dimension matrix M and N, and we are having a scalar C, and we are having few properties of matrix as option, where there are some properties transpose of transpose, scalar multiplication and transpose, addition and transpose, and matrix multiplication. Here things to be remember always, in GATE questions are easy but tricky, and we always miss that. So here it's not asking which one is true, it's asking which one is not true, means which one does not always hold good. So let's start with the first one. If we see first one, if we transpose one matrix, rows become columns, columns become rows, and we again transpose it, then again the column becomes column, rows becomes rows. Though it's a 2 times transpose. So matrix means same. So this property holds good. So this cannot be our answer. When we say CM transpose, so it's like a scalar multiplication to a matrix. When we transpose scalar, it remains same, and order of multiplication with scalar doesn't matter. In that case, if we open up the transpose, it becomes CM transpose and it looks good. Basically it's good. Same way we are having M plus N transpose. There are two matrices getting added and we want to have a transpose. We can have transpose of them first and then add. This also looks good. We will see later. Let's see the last one as well. We will come back to this if it is true or not. The last one, M and N, we are having a matrix multiplication and M. Oh, order is reversed. And we always mention, observe the order of multiplication carefully because AB is not equal to BA. So in that case, we know definitely this one is not true. And as we know in GATE exam, the answer is always only one option. So this is our answer. So we need not worry about even the third when we thought we may revisit it because we got the correct answer. So in this case, we know Mn equals to Nm is not possible and we mark this as answer, and as you see, this was completely based on the properties we discussed. There was nothing extra, and if you would have remembered properties properly in the exam, you basically earned 1 mark. Other topics about matrix and vectors are rank, determinant, inverse, eigenvalues, different type of matrix. These topics we will be discussing in this video series. But before discussing other topics related to matrix, we will discuss something about linear system of equations and the solution of linear system of equations using matrix. Because when we know this linking of linear system of equations and matrix, it will become easy to understand linear system and matrix together for rank, determinant and other properties of the matrix. So, as we said, we will discuss linear system of equations now. How every one of you may be knowing what is a linear system of equation. Linear means there are linear equations. We are having only power 1. System means there are multiple equations which completely form a system. So, we represent it as a multiple equations like this. Here we see x1, x2, xn. These are basically the unknown, and we see they are coming in power of 1. So the system is called linear, and we are having like multiple equations. So it becomes a system. If we say our all right hand side values are 0, if we say all these B are 0, then it becomes homogeneous system. So what's the benefit or properties of homogeneous system? We will see later. The first thing is homogeneous system always have a trivial solution x equals to 0. Okay, how it comes we will see later. But yeah, when all these values are 0, it's a homogeneous system. If any of them is non-zero, then it's a non-homogeneous system. Is that clear? Again, we are having unknown in a linear order, means only a single power. That's why it's a linear equation. We are having multiple equation. It's a linear system. If these bj's are 0, it's homogeneous. If any of bj is not 0, it's non-homogeneous. When we talk about solution, solution means a set of values for x1, x2, dash 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 xn that satisfies all m equations. We are talking about all m equations. We cannot say, okay, we got some set x1 and xn values which satisfy the first equation but does not satisfy second. No, that's not the solution. That's a point on the first equation. For solution for this particular linear system of equation, we should get a set of x which basically satisfy all the equations. How to obtain it? We will see. Remember the linear system of equation. Before solving it, let's see how we convert a linear system of equation into a matrix form. The m equation, whatever we have discussed, can be written as a single vector equation called Ax equals to b, where A basically is coefficient matrix, where we fill all the left hand side coefficient, x we fill all the unknowns in the form of a vector, and b is the right hand side resultant. Okay, so for homogeneous, b should be a 0 vector. Is that clear? Good. So now what we can do, we can use this a and b, which are numbers. Basically x is an unknown variable. We didn't care much about it. The more information is in a and b. Even if the x1, x2, xn we take y1, y2, yn, we get the same solution. But this number matters. So if we combine these two matrices A and B in a single matrix, where we have the A as the first part and B as the second part, we call it as an augment matrix. The nice property about augment matrix is it has all the numbers of a linear system. It means it has the complete information about the linear system, and the solution for the linear system can be obtained from here. So augmented matrix defines the system completely. Always remember the augment matrix and how we get it. Now just example to convert a linear system of equation to a matrix. We have been given a linear system of equation like this. There are three equations with different coefficients and different resultant. What we have to do? We have to put these equations in the form of a matrix. So when we put it, it basically comes like this, where we see this 2, 3, 4 comes as a row in matrix A. 3 minus 2, 1 becomes the second row. 2, 1, basically here x2 is missing, so it becomes 2, 0, 1. That's the third row. X is a unknown vector which is x1, x2, x3 in the form of a vector. B is resultant 5, 3, minus 2. So it's very easy. You take the numbers in the same order and frame this A, X, B matrix. So what's going to be augmented matrix? Augmented matrix where we will put A and B together. So when we put A and B, you see this first part is A and the last part is B. So this is an augmented matrix which has complete information about the system. Now we want to solve the equations, the linear system of equations. So there is a method called Gauss elimination and back substitution to solve linear system of equations. This is a standard method for solving linear system that proceeds systematically irrespective of particular features of the coefficient. So here we doesn't care whether there are some nice inherent property in the system which can make it solve easy, but we follow a standard set of rules which can be applied to any linear system of equations to find out the solution. The two major steps, as it says, are the Gauss elimination, where we reduce the system to triangular form using the elementary row operation, and we form on augmented matrix. So what is this elementary row operations? We will see in the next slide. What are these elementary row operations and why they are called elementary, and why we can apply it while preserving the information in the matrix. Once we get the Gauss eliminated matrix, we do the back substitution, where we start solving the variables starting with triangular augmented matrix. So as we said, for linear system of equation solution, elementary row operations are very important. So here we will discuss about what are elementary row operations and how to perform those operations. So first and foremost, elementary row operation is interchange of equations. Means we can interchange two equation, one to second or second to one, and it basically interchange two rows. So here if we see, if we are changing first equations to second and second to first, like we can see over here, and every one of us can understand that while doing this interchange, the solution will not be affected. It will remain same because system still represent the same set of equations, only the way equations are ordered is different, and which will not have any impact on the solution. So same way we can have interchange of rows in the matrix, and we can say the two matrices which we have obtained by using the interchange of row are equivalent while considering the solution from these two matrices. Okay, one thing to remember always, solution of linear system remains same in elementary row operations, and that's the ultimate focus of elementary row operation. As we want to preserve the solution, we still want to do some changes so that we can solve the equation easily. The second elementary row operation is addition of a constant multiple of one equation to another equation. So it's like we are having this equation 3. What we say, we will multiply equation 2 with a factor, let's say 3, and add this equation 2 with multiplied factor 3 to equation 3 and get the new equation. And what we can say, that if we use that new equation instead of equation 3, the solution remains same. And this is the basic operation which we do while solving the equations in a basic method. So this is another elementary row operation. Third elementary row operation is multiplication of an equation by a non-zero constant c. Means if we want to multiply the equation 3 with a constant, let's say 5, so the equation becomes 10x1 plus 5x3 equals to minus 10. In this case, it's going to represent the same line and ultimately equivalent set of equation to provide the same solution. Same operation can be achieved on a matrix if we multiply a row by a constant. And again, always remember we are talking about a non-zero constant, because if we multiply it by 0, the equation becomes 0 and it's of no use. So this is the third elementary row operation. So if we are getting another matrix by using these three elementary row operations, then those two matrices are equal and have the same set of solution. And again, to remember, solution of linear system remains same in elementary row operations. Now we have talked about elementary row operations, so let's talk about row equivalent systems or equal systems. So they are nothing but what we have discussed before. If we are doing some elementary row operation and we are changing the matrix using these elementary row operations, then those matrix remains row equivalent system after those elementary row operations. So in other words, what we can say, that two system S2 and S1 are elementary row equivalent system if S2 or vice versa S1 can be obtained from S2 by raw operations. So as we can understand clearly that raw equivalent linear system have the same set of solution because we achieved the second matrix from the first matrix using the elementary row operations, and elementary row operations preserve the solution. So raw equivalent linear system have the same set of solutions. Here what we have shown is the matrix 1 and matrix 2. These two are different matrices, but if we observe them carefully, what we see, we have interchanged first and second row. Then row first become row second and row second become row first, and we multiply row third with a scalar constant 2. So these two operations are elementary row operation, hence matrix 1 and matrix 2 are raw equivalent systems. Now we have understood the elementary row operation. So let's understand Gauss elimination bit more by using a simple example. So we are having a linear system of equation where we are having three equations, and we have put up these equations in the matrix form using augmented matrix. So the coefficient in augmented matrix are nothing but the coefficient of equations. If we want to solve this set of equations, basically if we go to our basics, what we do? We basically eliminate x1 and x2 from the last equation and x1 from the second last equation, and we start substituting from the end and get the solution. Same here happens in the Gauss elimination. So what we do? We basically eliminate x1 from all the equation but not from the first. Means we eliminate x1 from the second and third equation using the first equation. So what we have to do? If we see the third equation, it's basically having the same 2x1 as in first equation. So what we can say? We can do R3 minus R1. Same way, if we see second equation and if we want to reduce x1, what we can say? R3 minus 3 by 2 R1. So these are basically two operations which we have to perform, and we get new set of equations where we are not having x1 in last two equation. And if we see in the right hand side to the augmented matrix, we see zeros for these two coefficients, and it's again the same representations. So why we are putting these two things together currently? So that we can understand that at every step they two are interlinked. So if we are not having equations, we start with just the matrix and do this particular operation and get this particular matrix, then they are raw equivalent system and have the same solution. So now what's going to be the next step? Let's reduce or eliminate x2 from third equation using second equation, which is nothing but R3 minus R2. So we do that, we get R3 minus R2 and we reduce x2 from the last equation. If we see over here, we get another 0 for this particular place, and if we see here, it is an upper triangular matrix for this particular order of 3 by 3 or 3 by 4 augmented matrix. So this is basically called a Gauss eliminated upper triangular matrix. From here we can start back substitution to find out the solution. We are not going into that currently because currently we are not interested to find out the exact solution. What we are interested in, to understand the system and to understand the properties of system for finding a solution. But always remember, the upper triangular matrix, which sometimes called raw equivalent form of augmented matrix, which we will be discussing on the next page. Before discussing raw equivalent form, let's have a quick understanding of solution existence and consistency. Why we are saying just understanding? Because we will explain existence and consistency in detail in rank of a matrix, But here we will see what existence and consistency means. So here we are having a system of an equation, an unknown, and obviously b1 to bm are the resultant right hand side parameters. So we say this particular linear system is overdetermined if we have more equations than unknown. Means we are having, let's say, 5 equations but 3 unknown and we want to solve them. So sometime it happens like we are having some redundant equation and we may be able to solve it easily. But if those equations are linearly independent, again we will discuss linear independence later. But if those equations are linearly independent with 2 unknowns, then what? Okay guys, we cannot have linearly independent 5 equations with 2 unknown. We will see that later. So what we are having, we actually need only 2 equations, but we are having 5 equations, which is called overdetermined. It's determined if we have number of equations equals to number of unknown. And here we are talking about linearly independent number of equations are equals to number of unknowns. Then we have one solution and we call it determined system. If we are having fewer equations than unknown, then we say our system is underdetermined. Also, now talks about the consistency. A system is called consistent if it has at least one solution. Means either one or more than one solution. If the system has, then it's consistent. If it's not having any solution, then it's inconsistent. Straightforward. We will discuss in detail at the time when we will discuss rank about how to find the existence and consistency of a linear system of equations. So here let's switch back to row echelon form. Row echelon form are obtained after Gauss elimination. The system matrix convert into a triangular matrix, and this particular triangular matrix is called row echelon form, as we have seen before. Rows of zeros, if present, are the last rows. So if we can see over here, if we are having any rows of zeros, they are the last rows. Here this particular area is the zeros. Again we are talking about rows only to the coefficient matrix, not to the augmented part. Each non-zero row, if we see over here, has leftmost non-zero element entry is further to the right than in the previous row. So if we see here, the leftmost non-zero entry was basically the first entry, but if we see in the next row, it becomes the second entry or third entry, and so on. Here n is the number of variables, r is the number of non-zero coefficient equations, which is basically less than or equals to number of all equations. Entries in this particular triangle and in particular rectangular are zeros. Okay. Now we have discussed about row echelon form. Why it's so important? Means we have to think why we are even converting a matrix after doing some random operation to row echelon form. What we are getting out of it? Basically we get some information, or I would say a very most important information from this particular row echelon form. We get to know whether there will be any solution for the system. If yes, how many and why. We will see how we get that information. So we are putting a row echelon form matrix and an example matrix from our previous example. So what we say, the first and foremost thing we want to talk, okay, if there is only one solution exists or exactly one solution, then what's the condition? Then condition goes, we should have number of non-zero coefficient equations like these many should be equals to number of unknowns in our system. If that happens, then there is a chance for exactly one solution. And the second condition, for these zero coefficient rows, the right hand side parameter or the last column of augmented matrix should have zero entries. We can understand it easily. If we are having zeros over here but non-zero over here, what we are saying? We are saying 0x1 plus 0x2 plus 0xn equals to a non-zero value, which makes like equation or system is not having any solution because that's not possible. So we should have these elements if they are present to be 0 for exactly one solution. To find out the solution, we can solve the nth equation or rth equation, which is basically same for the xn, and we can start going up backward to find out all these solutions. It's like a back substitution we do. Now second thing is infinitely many solutions. We talk about one solution. Now condition when there is a solution, but there is not only one, there are as many as infinite solution. So for that what we have number of non-zero coefficient rows should be less than number of unknowns. So always remember, if this is equals single, if this is less than infinite, and fr plus 1 to fm if present are 0. Again the same condition as we said, because these things should be 0 for any solution to be present. Right. No solution, as we have discussed, we are having r is less than m, means we get at least one 0 line, and this particular element non-zero. As we have discussed before, if 0x1 plus 0xn non-zero means there is no solution. So it's clear cut. First look the r, it should be less than m or equal m. If it is less than m, look this parameter. If it is non-zero, then okay, sorry boss, there is no solution because we are having 0x1 plus 0xn equals to non-zero value. If it is 0, then come back to one solution or infinite solution condition. Now if we apply these things and try to find out solution for our current augmented matrix, what we see over here? Here we are having three unknowns. We have seen x1, x2 and x3 were three unknowns. So n equals to 3. We are having 3r, means even though there are three equations, m is 3, non-zero coefficient equations are also 3 in augmented matrix. So we are having 3 equations, and we do not have any fr plus 1. They are not present. So n equals to 3, r equals to 3, no fr plus 1 is 0, means we have only one solution. So this is basically the answer for our problem. It's not like providing the solution, it's like how many solutions exist. And that's very much important. Now we will see one example. And again, as we have said before, few questions in the GATE exam from mathematics are very easy, that goes from the formulas directly. From the previous formula, whatever we have discussed, we will be building up complex concept later, but here is a question which can be answered easily by using these formulas. So the question is, we are having a system of linear simultaneous equations. So we can see there are three unknown x, y, z and three equations. And we want to find out again the same thing, unique solution, infinite solution, no solution or exactly two solutions. There are many methods to solve this questions, and the most useful method is the rank method, which we will be discussing later. But for the time being, we can constrain ourselves to the Gauss elimination or raw echelon form method and try to find out raw echelon form for this particular matrix of this particular system and see what is the answer. So if we want to solve it, we basically find out the augmented matrix, which is nothing but the coefficient of this particular system in augmented matrix form, and then we want to reduce x1 from the second row and the third row. So we see rt minus 2r1 and r3 minus r1. It's an elementary row operation. So this matrix is basically row equivalent to the first matrix and have the same solution. Now what we do? We basically eliminate x2 from the last equation using the second equation. So we do r3 minus 1 by 3 r2. And when we do that, we eliminate x2 from the last equation. So now what we see over here, that the last equation coefficients are 0. We are not talking about last element. Last element is corresponding to b. We are talking about the coefficients for unknown. So it's 0. So as we have said, what it should be? We are having number of equations 3, number of unknowns 3, number of non-zero coefficient equations in echelon form 2, and there is one fr plus 1, basically f3 non-zero. So we see 0x1 plus 0x2 plus 0x3 is equals to 1. And when is that possible? Basically never. So there is no solution for this particular equation. Okay, I believe it's clear to everyone. You guys can go back to your books and try to find out some simple questions to solve using these concepts. So we have covered matrix and matrix basics. We have covered linear system of equations understanding. Now we will be covering other topics related to linear algebra in the next set of videos which we will be releasing soon. So meanwhile, to get updates, you can like us on Facebook on www.facebook.com/gateknockout, GATEKNOCKOUT, where we will be updating you about when we are releasing a new video. Also, you can share this video to your friend. We will be providing an assignment worksheet and some quick reference formula sheet at the end of this particular set of videos, which you guys can download from Google Drive. Also, if you need any help, you can always mail us at gateknockout@gmail.com. Thanks. Have a nice day. We will see you later in next video.